Jefferson, like Franklin, like Adams, like Madison, Jackson realized that the banks did many bad things, and he called them out on it, but he didn't resolve that. He just got rid of the worst bank because they were his worst personal enemies. Then we go on to Lincoln, and Lincoln is yet another issue. And basically what happened is, the bankers approached both the North and the South, offering them unlimited loans to finance them. And Lincoln, of course, had studied math before he ascended to the presidency. And, when the bankers notified him, what I was told in this lecture by Jacques Walker in 1975 was that the bankers were asking 30%, annual interest, and Lincoln reflected on the cost and decided to simply print the money himself, thus, saving the country from, all the interest on it. And an obligation to repay the principal as well. It would have to have been, and of course these are just my own deductions about that. The actual thinking that Lincoln may have done, which caused him to determine to do what he did, is not really clear. And I mean, I'm not as much a student of history as I might appear to be. I find what counts and go there, but I have studied Lincoln even probably more broadly than other early great men in the history of the country. I disagree with many things that Lincoln did, but he was a very, very great man, just the same. And yet I really don't uncover any evidence that he was close to, resolving, monetary issues. And of course, it's quite possible that he was assassinated for this, issuing the money as the credit of the United States, rather than as a like debt to bankers, each of which only published evidence of our promissory obligation. That's all the money was. And whether Lincoln actually resolved that either, we don't know. So this so-called greenbacker movement, now we need to sort of bring that in, because the money that Lincoln issued was called a greenbacker. There's a fellow named Gary North who 13, 14 years ago contacted me, and he was broke and penniless. He noticed he'd found my web pages. I had a lot of traffic. I would, 100,000 visitors a month to a personal, what were personal web pages really, and was people for Mathematically Perfected Economy. But anyway, learning how much traffic I had, and he was complaining that he needed a way to scheme to make some money. Next thing I know, after I had this long, pleasant visit with this guy, next thing I know, he's charging people money to invalidate my thesis of Mathematically Perfected Economy. Now, he's not invalidating it at all. His paper that he's trying to sell people actually just says that Lincoln did this before, and these are greenbacks. Well, now Ellen Hodge and Brown and Bill Stills and these people are trying to cover their tracks and get me out of the equation, though they've borrowed heavily from my work and can't even articulate the principles themselves. But they're trying to draw attention to the greenback movement as if this greenback movement existed before me, which is not at all the case. And it it derives by this money is debt people, which I've already explained how, we fought our battles and they're wrong, and in fact they're even hypocrites. They're really not advocating what they're trying to advocate. They're just trying to say they're advocating. They're trying to lure you into, thinking that money can't be a debt, and there's huge problems in that. If we can't issue promissory obligations, that means a young couple, for instance, gets married, and a person under mathematically perfected economy, a person with a part-time job in a fast food store can afford a brand new house, $83.33 a month, you see. So if you can't issue a promissory obligation, we can't do this. You'd have to save for your lifetime, hoping to be able to save enough to enjoy a home only in the end of your life. It isn't debt that's bad, it's inherent irreversible multiplication of artificial indebtedness into terminal indebtedness, which is bad. And in fact, any multiplication of indebtedness for unearned gain at all is bad, is adverse to us, as our circle of 1,000 people example, explains. So Lincoln issued the greenbacks. I'm not a greenbacker. I'm about mathematically perfected economy, and my history of economy used to explain that there was a great flaw in what Lincoln did, and that is that unless you pay unless those who consume whatever this money came for pay it out of circulation proportional to their consumption. And you understand a war is a difficult problem to resolve. Now, if you want to talk about resolving it, I'm probably the only credible authority in the world who can explain how to fund a war under just economy, at least, you see. But, Gary North purposely wronged me for his own profit. Bill Stills and Ellen Hodgson Brown are purposely ignoring me, knowing that I'm the very reason that they have any work to do, that they've stolen from me prolifically. I mean, Ellen Hodgson Brown has denied that interest is even the problem in public debates with me, at Op-Ed News. So, I mean, that tells you how credible she is. She's all over the map. Bill Stills' first video started out plagiarizing me in countless little details. And, I mean, I couldn't stand to watch 5 minutes of it. You could have broke my arms and legs, and I would have crawled on the stubs to, to knock his teeth out the backside of his head,
That sounds terrible.
Well, when you think about it, Anne, here's the thing. A woman who's followed my work for quite a few years now, calls me and tells me, Mike, do you know that there's 125,000 children under the ages of 12 who are homeless on the streets of Los Angeles? And I said, no. Is that a fact? And, but here's the thing. We, by dividing what existed long before these people, who've all stood up in the 11th hour here, by dividing the audience and diverting it to themselves for profit. Everybody who's doing this is a donate button, is doing it for money. And there, there's dozens more every day. We have outstanding calls for debates to these authors of these other sites. But what is going to happen if we just continually divide to more and more and more propositions of alternate solutions? You're saying what I said is terrible, and actually, it's more of a figure of speech of how I feel about these people, and rightly so, I'm saying. Because, how many 12-year-old girls are being raped every night just in Los Angeles, because we can't get it together to resolve economy even for ourselves. And and in the bigger picture, it would take away a lot of hate too, not just the mathematics of it, but it would take away racism. It would take away a caste system, and you could actually, depend on your neighbor how you're supposed to. Yes, and I should say you're right. I suppose I'm speaking too freely and familiarly because I am a fighter, and the problem is this ugliness has persisted for far too long, and with far too great of damages.
And we all have to get the message out. I don't have any donate buttons on my side either. I just feel the need and feel compelled to just teach people, whether they look at me funny or go do their own research. I know 1 out of maybe 10 or 50 people I talk to will actually go and look up what I'm telling them and not think I'm completely nuts and never talk to me again. So,
well, the beauty of what we're doing right now is that in abandoning a limitation of, an original idea of an hour program, is we're developing a package, which is sufficient that the people don't even, excuse me, have to go to a website. Instead, this is a pretty much complete package, and probably we should mop up this history pretty quickly and get on to the idea of how to how are we going to implement solution.
Well, what I'm going to do for tonight, because we're over an hour, I'm going to end it for this part of the show, and then we can start again if you'd like to, and I can bring in some other people that would really like to listen to what you have to say. Okay, well, I want to kind of sign off just, so I can edit it into the show. But I wanted to tell you, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate all your knowledge.
Well, I thank you as well for, because I'm really pleased to hear how, versant and gentlemanly you all are. So that's really great too. You're to be commended, for all of you, for doing this, because it's an opportunity to actually, for my life's work to come into fruition is one consideration, but the fact of the matter is, if you spend the time, if you've been here for 10 years doing this, or 20 years of doing this, or 42 years, doing this, you're there's a thing that weighs on you, and I'm tired of, it's not that, every day of my life advocating mathematically perfected economy is all out battle. People like this group of people are refreshingly conversant. You see, the rest of the day, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, is in terrible turmoil, controversy, pretension, assaults. It's an all-out battle. With the Ron Paul people, the Austrian economists, everyone you can imagine. It's amazing how people. I don't know what it is about the internet, but it's like it's a free license for people who don't really have anything to say to destroy everything that we should hear about. Next week's program will continue this discussion. Thanks so much again for listening. It's an honor to be heard regarding probably the most vital matter of our time.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds, and yet have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop for the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? And some say it's just a part of it. We all got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing? Songs of freedom is all I ever had. Redemption songs, these songs of freedom.